On Capitol Hill, a fight over transgender rights, only days after Sarah McBride made history as the first out trans woman elected to Congress. In a newly filed resolution, Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace is seeking to ban trans women from using women's bathrooms at the Capitol.
Is this effort in response to Congresswoman McBride's coming to Congress?
Yes, and absolutely, and then some. I know how vulnerable women and girls are in private spaces, so I'm absolutely 100% going to stand in the way. And to see the way that I've been attacked today and last night for fighting to protect women and girls, it's ridiculous. So if that being a feminist makes me an extremist, I'm totally here for it.
By the way, it would cover any trans lawmaker as well as staff member, I understand. But let me go to the expert. NBC's Ryan Nobles is on Capitol Hill. And in addition to that, Speaker Mike Johnson, I understand, has just weighed in on this. Bring us up to speed.
Yeah, so we have to keep in mind, Chris, this is just a proposal. Nothing's been voted on yet. This would be a resolution that the House would vote on after Congress is sworn in the new year. And the new Congresswoman, Sarah McBride, would be seated during that period of time, and it would address this issue that has now become something that has bubbled up here in the House Republican Conference. And we are getting mixed messages from the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, who was initially asked about this earlier in the day and seemed to strike a more balanced tone, saying that he wasn't going to engage in debates that sully new members and that everybody should have the opportunity to come here and serve their constituents without any kind of backlash. But just a few minutes ago, Johnson called all of the reporters together to make a statement in front of the camera, which I should also put out. He did not take any questions or anything along those lines, but I believe we have that sound for you. This is what Johnson had to say here a few minutes ago.
I was asked a question this morning at the leadership gaggle, and I rejected the premise because the answer is so obvious. For anybody who doesn't know my well-established record on this issue, let me be unequivocally clear. A man is a man, and a woman is a woman, and a man cannot become a woman. That said, I also believe, that's what Scripture teaches, what I just said, but I also believe that we treat everybody with dignity. And so we can do and believe all those things at the same time. And I wanted to make that clear for everybody because there's lots of questions. But that's where I stand. I've stood there my whole life, and those are facts.
So what are these special accommodations?
So what he didn't do there was clarify whether or not he supported Congresswoman Mace's efforts to try and prevent transgender individuals from using the bathroom of their choosing. And it's not going to necessarily put this controversy to bed at all. And I wanted to show you what the Congresswoman-elect is saying about this. This is what Sarah McBride said in a statement. She said, "Everyday Americans go to work with people who have life journeys that are different than their own and engage with them respectfully. I hope members of Congress can muster that same kindness. This is a blatant attempt from far right-wing extremists to distract from the fact that they have no real solutions to what Americans are facing." And Chris, I think we should also point out that this comes after the very difficult campaign that was waged by both sides, in which the issue of transgender rights was front and center throughout much of the campaign. And it was something that Republicans in particular campaigned upon in a pretty vigorous way, and they ended up being pretty successful in this last election cycle. So it is not a surprise that you now see them leaning into this in this current at this current stage, especially as they return to Congress in January. It's not necessarily going to solve any of the problems here, and this is obviously an issue that many Americans are grappling with, and the kind of the tone and the rhetoric right now doesn't appear to be one where people are looking to find common ground in a kind way, but we'll have to see how this plays itself out when Congress returns in January.
Well, to your point, Republicans spent more than $200 million on national television ads, network ads targeting trans people this year. So this conversation far from over. Ryan Nobles, thank you.